Hello, everybody. Welcome to the episode 27 of the Hrudai Chetan Show podcast. Today's episode features a remarkable woman who's saving lives with both science and soul, Dr. Aishwarya Ramesh, one of India's leading voices in veterinary medicine. She is a pioneer in feline medicine and is changing the way India treats pet emergencies, showing us that cats and dogs deserve ICU level care, compassion, and dignity. Let's explore her inspiring journey, her bold vision, and her heart for animals. Let's bring Aishwarya Ramesh ma'am on the spotlight. Hello, ma'am.
Hello,
How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. So it is great to have you here on my podcast. So let's look forward to discuss more about these pets where they need to be taken care of that we are not doing actually. So let's hear it from you. What are the points that we can take and how can we save animals as you are doing right now? Yeah. So
First of
let's
all,
be.
first
Yeah.
of all, congratulations, Hrudai. You are doing a very good podcast. You're started very early and you're motivating a lot of kids. And thank you for having me because veterinary is slightly not spoken about much, right? Probably, I'm the first guest who's coming out and, giving motivation in terms of veterinary, right? So, but there have been a lot of, if you see, my era as well as compared to now, right, a lot of kids are aspiring to be veterinarians. So I think this will be a very fruitful talk. Now coming back to your question about how to how what was the question again?
Yeah, so I'll be asking you a couple of questions. So let's begin with it. So, what were you like as a child? Curious, quiet, or always asking questions?
That's a very good question. So I grew up in a very orthodox family in Bangalore. So
Mhm.
orthodox means quite strict, right? So I used to go to school. I was also doing, swimming, and I was into a lot of extracurricular activities. By the way, I'm also a national level swimmer.
Oh,
So I curiosity, yes, of course. I think, as an orthodox child, you always are curious in a certain way, but you do feel that, your parents are very strict. Your relatives will do, tell you something. But I was always curious as well as always asking questions also, because that is what, motivates you to be forward in life, right? If you're
mm,
quiet, I don't think, you'll understand what's going on, right? So I
mm,
was quite curious as well as exploring types only.
great. So, what was your passion when you were a child?
So my passion was always to be a veterinarian. I did not have any other passion. Uh, so I was a swimmer, right? That was obviously my hobby.
Mm,
But I knew that I wanted to be a veterinarian when I grew up.
awesome. So, till now, whatever now I have spoken to many guests, they told that no, I wanted to become this, but I became something else. So, this is the first podcast. Now you are telling I was following my passion, and the goal was to become a veterinary doctor,
Yeah.
and you are great. So, did you grow up around animals? Was there a pet that changed your life?
So unfortunately, I did not grow up with animals. So at that time, getting a cat or a dog in my house was a very big deal because they used to tell either we take care of you or we take care of the dog, right? That is always a common phrase, in every household. But regarding the second question, if there was a pet that changed my life or what exactly motivated me, so I had gone to a family vacation to Murdeshwar. So when I was in Murdeshwar, what happened was there was one dog and it was severely injured. So the hind limb, no, the back limb was so infected that the maggots, it's called maggots. Basically, when you have severely infected tissue, no, there is maggots which eat it up, right? If you have seen any crime thrillers or
Yeah.
drama, no, you have maggots. So the maggots were eating up its limb and it was howling in pain. So I think that was the time. That was when I was in fourth standard. That was the time when I had decided that I want to take veterinary as my, subject, or, grow and help animals.
Wow. So regarding the first question answer that you gave, I could relate to it because when I say to my mother or my grandparents right now that I want a dog, and they
Yeah.
say that you stay or let the dog stay.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
So that's the case. So what is the bond that you create with animals and you?
See, more than being a veterinarian, you have to be an empathetic person, right?
Hmm,
For me, I feel that what you see around, the nature, the dogs, the cats, the animals are like your living gods,
hmm,
right? So you have to have a connect with them. So for me, treating is another aspect, but connecting with these animals is completely different thing, right?
yes,
This is what, is very important for any person, right? Now, I've seen a lot of animal cruelty cases going on, but the same person, is praying to God in the house, but you're coming and, kicking the animals, right? So I don't think that justifies. So I feel that, you should be a empathy, you should have empathy towards all the things around you and respect, right?
right, exactly. So how can you differentiate between no veterinary doctor and a human doctor for general?
Okay, so there is a very common phrase in veterinary. So veterinarians are the toughest doctors because for there are 2 points. One is we treat more than one species.
Mhm.
Second thing is the animals cannot speak for themselves. So we are literally like Sherlock Holmes, right? We have to detect what is going on with them, right? So it's a very tough field. Now, how do I differentiate between a human as well as a veterinarian? You got your answers in these two. Apart from that, we have multiple species, right? So not only dogs and cats, there are some experts, who are doing exotic species. Some people are doing wildlife species, right? So it's very, very different from humans. Humans can of course come and say that, oh, I have pain in my stomach, I have pain in my head, and you pretty much know what you're treating, but the animals will not at all speak, right?
Yes. Who was your biggest inspiration growing up?
uh, I had a lot of people, inspire me. But I think my inspiration kept changing every time. But I think my constant source of inspiration was, at least when we were growing up, was Abdul Kalam, right? We were taught a lot of principles, about how his simplicity, made him a great man. And at that time, when he was ruling the country, also he did not show any ounce of attitude, though he was so great, right? I was mostly inspired by Abdul Kalam. And of course, in swimming, I was, inspired by Michael Phelps because he's one of the greatest swimmers. In veterinary, unfortunately, we didn't have any icon to look up to, right? So we used to look up to human doctors as our parallels. And as in my human doctor parallel, it was Devi Shetty, right? He's a well-known cardiologist, right?
Yeah, now we have you as an icon for veterinary doctor to look up.
Hopefully, I grow up 2% of what, these people have achieved, but these were very, I used to get motivated by the way they worked, their simplicity, right?
Awesome. So, what was your childhood dream? As you said, it is veterinary doctor to become. So, did you always want to be a vet? And tell me one reason why did you choose this passion?
Yeah, like I told you, from my fourth standard, I was very clear that I wanted to be a vet, right? That's like, I have been like, constantly following my ambition since I was fourth standard. And there's nothing which I thought, in between that, oh, I need to become like this, I need to become that, I need to do this. Um, like I told you, the incident which changed my life was when I was in fourth standard, I had gone to Malaysia. That is one incident. And I was so motivated that, we get a dog to the house, though my parents were against it. Uh, we ended up getting a dog when I was in ninth, I think ninth or 10th standard.
Mhm.
And the dog changed, basically dogs are very loyal, no? They're like your
Yeah,
companion and your emotional support throughout your life, right? So That was one more incident where, I was strongly motivated that I have to do this and I have to pursue this.
When you were a teenager, did you ever feel lost or unseen about your future?
Uh, Thanks, Hriday. So this is a very good question, and I really, it's good that you are asking me this question. As teenagers, I'm sure everybody makes mistakes, right?
Yes.
It is the age where, you do make mistakes and nobody is perfect end of the day, right? So there was in my teenage years, I was in a college which had integrated IIT. So it was a very tough life. So morning I used to go to college. And before the college, I had to attend two tuitions in the morning. In the evening, attend two tuitions. Plus, I was in an integrated coaching. It was very, very stressful. So at one time, I had felt very lost that, I don't think I could, even pass my exams. So, at that time when you're a teenager, you bunk college, you do time pass. So these are all the mistakes. But I don't think, yeah, of course, in these times you start feeling, vulnerable that maybe you cannot achieve these dreams.
Hmm.
There are times like that, of course. But I was very sure that, this is what I, want in my life. It's basically quoting an example from the book Manifest, right? If you start manifesting certain things, you will get it. So since, my childhood, if I kept manifesting that I want to be a veterinarian, come what may, right? So, yeah,
So you use manifestation to be here who you wanted to be.
of course, hard work also, apart from
Yeah.
that. But mostly it's manifestations because every kid or every teenager does make mistake, right? And what my personal opinion is, make mistakes. Don't shy away saying that, oh, I should be a perfect person. The more you make mistakes, the better person you are because every mistake really teaches you how to, grow up or step up, right?
Exactly. So it now also I can tell it is relating to me because I've made many mistakes and now I'm here with 27 podcast.
Very
So
nice.
that you are here. So yeah, what would you tell your 16-year-old self today?
Uh, I mean, if I had to revisit my 16-year-old, I don't think I would, I'm a complete stark different person of whom I am today as compared to 16-year-old. The 16-year-old, I felt, very lost, very unsure, right? Maybe, at that time, I could have probably told, probably focus more on the career and goals, so that things would have been much easier. I went through a very difficult pathway to reach where I am right now. But I think the only thing which I would have probably told my 16-year-old is, uh, things would have been much easier if I had focused more or, probably studied or worked hard on myself, which never happened, right? Because it was just what people followed, you know.
Yeah,
So the one thing which I definitely also advise the kids of these days is follow what you want. Do not follow because your parents are telling you or because your neighbors is going and to a certain tuition because I don't think that will help you at all.
yeah,
This is probably the only thing I would change.
yeah. Now, if you had one superpower to use, what would it be and why?
So the only superpower which if I had and what I would do, I would probably, set up a multi-speciality myself with all the money I got and live a peaceful life, right? Because we are working, extra shifts to save lives here in the morning and evening. So that's the only superpower I would probably ask is, build a multi-speciality hospital and save more lives, right?
Yeah. Now, if I ask someone else, they'll say the time machine. I wanted to go in my past and I wanted to enjoy. And here you want to transform lives and save lives. Great, man.
I think
How would
past is something which has to be now you have to always focus on the future. Past is your past, right? So I tell a lot of people that, oh, I wish I could go back to my school days. I wish I could go back to my college days. Those are your golden days, of course. But now the life is totally ahead of you. So what? I'm sure your parents also would have told, in 10th standard, this is your life changing moment.
Yes.
But once you came to your 11th and 12th, again in 12th, the same thing, was told that, oh, 12th standard is your life changing moment.
Yeah.
But as we progress, now even today, I feel I've not got my life changing moment. So every day is constantly evolving, right? So
Yeah.
you have to just focus on your future and present. That makes you more motivated, right?
Exactly. How important is failure in the path to success?
Like I told you, failures are very, very important. If you don't face failure, I don't think that you will ever learn in life, right? So the more you fall down, the better you get up, right? There are so many times in my life. If suppose I had to quote an example, I was supposed to get a veterinary seat, so we had the CET system, right? We had
Mm.
CET back in. I don't know if CET is CET still there or have they removed CET, the entrance
Maybe
exam.
it's there.
Okay. So during my CET time, because they had taken 50% marks from the biology, right? So PCB plus the CET marks, I had very good ranking.
Mm.
Plus to add it to it, I had two national level medals, right? So I was very sure that I will get the veterinary seat, come what may. But
Mm.
to my utter disappointment, in four colleges, three colleges had shut down in veterinary. So
Oh.
there was only one college which I did not get a seat in, unfortunately. So I was very disappointed. But that was my biggest failure. I felt at that point that maybe I should have worked a little more harder, or maybe I should have got a little more better CET ranking, right? But things happened in a very nice way, right? So I feel that the more I would say students that, being a topper does not teach you how to lead a life. Being a failure teaches you how to lead a life because the failures. So even if I have to give you an example of my own colleagues, people who are just borderline, who got passed or, people who have failed are doing much better than people who are toppers,
Yeah.
right? Because toppers are very sorted. They know what they want in life. They know that,
Yeah.
oh, I have to do this. But the people who fail, they keep 100 options open that, if this does not happen, then I take step two.
Yeah.
If this does not happen, I take this. So your options are plenty, right? This
Yeah.
is what,
Yeah. Exactly. So, have you ever faced peer pressure or comparison? How did you overcome it?
of course. So I grew up in a very strict Orthodox family. I had too much peer pressure actually to perform, and my family has triple degree graduates and people who are settled abroad, and so
Mm.
it was like a pure educated family where you wanted to stand out. So my was a very different passion, right? Veterinary. So
Yeah.
if I say my parents that I wanted to be a veterinarian, of course my parents were encouraging. But if I go and I had told my grandparents at that time, they told in Canada there is a saying called "done a doctor," right?
Mm.
So they're like, what is the use of becoming this, right? Uh, there is no use. Instead, you become a human doctor. Blah blah blah. Was what is the thing? What we had heard. Peer pressure, yes. Relatives pressure, yes. And neighbors, So there were a lot of things. Pressure was from a lot of sides, not only from the relative sides, right? The neighbor's kid got into very good engineering colleges. So
Mm.
my relatives got into very good engineering colleges. But here I was, very strong that I wanted to veterinary. How did I overcome it? I think these kind of people will be there in life. Even now we have these kind of people, in life. But how do you overcome it? I think, you should be like a racehorse, right? You should forget about what is happening. You have to cut all the noise and just focus on yourself and think that this is my goal, right? And not get bogged down saying that, oh, because my relative is saying this, I have to. Yes, I mean, of course, as kids, we are too pressurized. I know, certain of my colleagues who wanted to do human medicine, they were
Mm.
so pressurized and they, ended up taking medicine or engineering and they are not at all happy. But, they have gone into very different passion. One has become a travel influencer, one has become a food influencer, and they are very, very happy,
Mm.
right? So I don't think my brown parents would have accepted if I told, I'll become a travel influencer, of course. But end of the day, I think my parents also were very encouraging, in what my journey was. Um,
So, being a veterinary doctor, do you have any time schedule that you need to stay for these many hours, or whenever you get appointment, you can visit and then you can go wherever you would want to?
so there are two aspects of veterinary. Some people, take veterinary and they're very sure that they want to do a government job, right? For them, I think, it's a job security and there's a little bit of stability, in terms of job. But once it comes to private, it's quite a difficult race. But the learning opportunities are quite plenty, to be honest. So, regarding your question, minimum work hours for any private veterinarian is about 8 to 10 hours minimum.
Hmm.
All right. So, that includes your lunch break also and your tea breaks. Of course, as doctors, I don't think our 8 to 10 hours is that 8 to 10 hours. We sometimes extend it to, 11 hours, 12 hours. And
Hmm.
if, the surgeons, especially, if they have any surgery schedule, they come overtime. So, we have to work 6 days a week,
Hmm.
right? So, you have to keep in mind that the medical profession is a very tough thing, right? You are going there, you have to buck up, and
Hmm.
you're going there to save lives. So
Yeah.
I think you have to forget about time because uh, if you have a patient, you cannot say that my time's up. I have to go. You
Yes.
have to be there for the patient, right? Uh, but that being said, you do have 1 day off, and if you want, days off, like when we do night shifts, we
Hmm.
have 4 days off continuously. So these are all the things with veterinary. Now it depends in every clinic and every practice. Ideal protocol is 8 hour shift with 6 days working, 1 day office. Ideal shift timings.
How has your journey been working at Tata Small Animal Hospital?
Journey has been incredible. Thanks to Ratan Tata sir actually, because the equipments what we have is world class equipments. I can say that pretty confidently
Hmm.
because Um, we are doing high-end surgeries. We are doing high-end, life-saving treatments here. Plus, a lot of things which is very different and unheard of in our country, altogether. So it has been life-changing for sure.
What is emergency and critical care in veterinary medicine, and why is it important?
It's a very good question. So, what is emergency and critical care? In parallel and layman terms, if I have to say what is emergency and critical care, basically assume that you have just assume that you have a friend who's severely injured in a road accident,
Hmm.
right? What would you do? You would go to a very big hospital
Yeah.
like in Bangalore, which is for the best treatment possible, right? You would not reach out to a small clinic, but you'll directly go to a big hospital, right? Same thing applies with veterinary. Now, so who are the first doctors to take care of these people? The people from the ICU, right?
Hmm.
These are called intensivists, okay, or
Okay.
people who are working in the ECC, which is emergency critical care. These are the people who are like gods. They save life. Same thing goes with the animals. So the animals, it's more common than human beings because the vehicles run over them, right? There is, issues or call distress call saying that the cat jumped from the fourth floor or, the dog was run over by a vehicle. So the
Hmm.
first people who come are the ECC vets, which are emergency and critical care. So our job is to stabilize the animal, save the life, then do the diagnosis. Okay.
Hmm.
First is save a life and then, later see what is going on. But if you look at a normal, GP or general practice, they diagnose to treat the condition. Save the dog and then, diagnose. So there's a major difference. Basically, we are the first people who are in trauma, right? Emergency and critical care. That's also, I think ours is one of the only hospital which is specializing with the equipments in emergency and critical care.
Ah, great. So uh, we have seen in many places that no dogs fall because of the car speed or lorry speed and they get hurt. So what
Yeah.
do we do at that point in time?
So first of all, my honest advice to all of them is, these are animals end of the day. Please be empathetic, right? So if you see any injured dog or cat, please help it, right? Just like how you have campaign saying that, if you find an injured person who's met with an accident, it's called the golden hour where you go and help the person. Same thing applies with the dogs and cats. Unfortunately, no one steps up, but these animals also require extreme help, right? They don't have any guardians. How would we approach? You can get it to a hospital which is doing emergency and critical care, or if they have trauma surgeries. Or second thing is just take it to a private hospital where pain medications are given because they'll be severely painful, right?
Yeah.
We don't know which bone is broken, if the vertebrae is the spinal cord is broken, right? So for a human being, immediately call the ambulance. But do these guys have ambulance? Half the places do not have the facility, right? So I always say if you find a injured dog or a cat, your only basic duty, however dirty, however bleeding it is, place your hand on the bleeding area and just admit it to a human, veterinary facility, right?
So can pets in India really receive ICU level treatment like humans?
Absolutely. I feel very confident to say this because we are, placing various cases on mechanical ventilators, and we are using high-end equipments like HFNO. Basically, we are, handling high-end, emergencies. So, for example, recently we had a, case where, what is a spleen?
Yeah.
So the dog just came in at the nick of the time, and the spleen had ruptured completely
Ah,
because of tumor, right? There was a lot of internal bleeding, and thanks to our facility, we did the CT scan on spot. We sedated, did the CT scan on spot. The animal also got the spleen removed, right? It's doing quite well. Of course, we know that, it has a condition called hemangiosarcoma, which is nothing but blood cancer in layman terms, right? But the animal is doing quite well now. So this is the ICU level treatment, what you're saying, right? You have everything under one roof. You don't have to run pillar and post. Now, if an animal is feeling difficulty to breathe, it's drowned in water, right? It would require oxygen support, or it would require an actual oxygen cage, which is there, So ICU level treatment is definitely available. As of now, Tata has, but I think, the more facilities we have in India, everybody can make use of.
what was one emergency case that deeply impacted you?
So there was, I'll tell you my, see, every time people tell success story, I'll tell you a case which, deeply, uh, it remains with me even now. So there was one, particular cat. Her name was Dolly. She was a 7 months old cat. She was a community cat, which was rescued by the well-beings of the apartment. So I work in Mumbai. So the population of cats is extremely high as compared to dogs, right? So you have rescuers, you have feeders, you have a lot of people who take care of these cats. So they had found this cat with respiratory distress. That means very difficult to breathe, right? So, but unfortunately, the caretaker had got it. They tried everywhere, and they are obviously not to be blamed because they're giving the best treatment possible or best care possible for the poor cat. By the time they had come, she already had open mouth breathing, right? So, in a cat, if it is open mouth breathing, that means the oxygen is not reaching the lungs properly, right?
Mm,
So, what happens usually if there is fluid in the lungs? This is when they cannot breathe properly, right? So they came in and it already had open mouth breathing. We tried so hard to the cat was so innocent looking, she was mewing, she was telling, I could literally look at her eyes and say that she was asking help from us. And
mm,
so the caretakers, there were about, I think, 10 to 15 members who had come just for the cat. and they begged us saying, please help the cat, please help the cat, right? But we did all our efforts, all our best to save the poor cat. Unfortunately, she died, right? Even in spite of everything. So
mm,
this is one case I think which has deeply, sat in my brain for a long time, that sometimes we are not gods to save everything, right? So even though we try, it is the end of the day, it's very important how you present, when you present, at what condition you present,
yeah,
right? So we always motivate the parents that if you find anything like this, do not look too much, on and off. Just get it to a facility which has everything under one roof.
mm. So, like the instruments where the human, uh, doctors have the same, even veterinary doctors'
Yeah.
instruments for animals
Do have it in
have.
Tata. We do have those instruments in Tata actually. Apart from that, there is one instrument called the oxygen cages, right? So, if I have to give you a parallel example, a neonatal baby is kept in an incubator, right? So, we have oxygen cages where, in a cat, for example, like I was telling, respiratory distress. Cats are so fragile. If you are handling a respiratory distress cat, they collapse on the spot. They are that fragile. So minimum handling is what is recommended, right? So we have oxygen cages for that. We just place it in the oxygen cage for them to, get oxygen. So that is particularly there in only certain veterinary hospitals. So apart from that, yes, of course, we have the ventilator, we have the HFNO, we have high-end anesthesia equipment, we do the MRI, we do the CT.
Oh,
Right?
yes. So, why did you choose to specialize in feline medicine?
Okay, so feline medicine is always, something. So you have to understand that cats are never small dogs. Okay.
Hmm,
So medicine, cat medicine is very wonderful. It's very exciting. Okay. So now if I look at a normal cat's report as compared to dogs, it's
hmm,
very, very different. Even with a normal blood examination, I'll find very, a lot of differences.
okay.
And in terms of diseases, the cat diseases are much, much more different from dogs. The way you handle cats is much different from dogs. And these guys, the stress condition, causes them diseases. So there is so many things exciting, right, about feline medicine. And I almost in India, the coastal regions are known as land of cats, right? There is a simple logical explanation for that: abundance of fish,
Hmm,
right? And these guys multiply every 2 months once. So there are a lot of cats here as compared to dogs. So I just wanted to, specialize in feline medicine because we do not have a dedicated feline vet. If you go to a veterinary hospital, you have a doctor who's treating everything. But now, no, if you see, there are specialities. Like in veterinary only in Mumbai, for example, we have the skin vet who's specializing only in skin. We have the eye vet who's specializing in eye. We have the cancer vet, right? So need of the hour is speciality, right? So feline medicine is definitely something which I always wanted to pursue and grow myself with.
hmm. Interesting. So, now if dog or cat starts, they get fever, and how can we know that fever is occurring to them?
Very subtle sign. So as a owner, we always say that so owners of course are very smart nowadays. They're very, very well informed, right? They are self, some people are themselves doctors. So they Google all the signs, and even some people are so well informed that they use Chat GPT nowadays to Google up all the symptoms. It's good in certain way. I tell that these are well informed parents, right? So by the time they come to you, they know that the dog has fever.
Hmm,
Okay, this is one category. The second category is that they come presenting, the dogs come presenting saying that my dog is not eating food since 2 days, right? And it is sitting very dull, lethargic, right? So these are the signs for me to classify that probably something is going on. Now, how do I confirm it is fever? I do a blood workup and I see the values and see the temperature. If both are, coinciding, then there is some infection which is causing the fever, right? So that is how, we go ahead about checking about fever. But there are certain parents, like I told you, the well-informed parents. They check the temperature in the house, by doing it themselves. And they come to our facility saying, we check the temperature, it is about 104. So they already have classified it as fever, right? Our job is much easier that way. We just have to do the blood work and prove a point that, oh, this is the infection probably which is causing the fever.
Yeah, great. So, which percentage do you think, dogs or cats will get fever?
Now, in 100%, in Mumbai at least, the percentage of crowd, if I have to classify, about 60% are well informed. And in that 60%, 40% are cat parents. They are the most well informed parents. And they know how to take care of their cats much better than as I'm not criticizing the dog parents, but the cat parents are very, very well informed and organized
Mm,
because so cats are called stoic animals, right? Stoic as in they do not show their signs and symptoms till the last minute. So they have to find out very, very subtle signs and symptoms, right? So they're very, very well informed as compared to dogs. 20%, of course, is the dog ones, and covers your 60%, right? The rest, 40%, are the people, probably someone gifted the dog to them. Sometimes we do have celebrity, come with caretakers. Celebrities never come themselves. They send their caretakers who have no clue how to take care of the dog. And the rest lot is that, they don't have the financial resources to take care of certain breed of dog. So it all varies, but this is the percentage ideally we look at.
mm. So, what are some common misconceptions people have about cats?
So, like, I told you, I grew up in a very strict household. So, in Kannada, they used to say, Bekku Apshakuna, right?
Mm,
So, so every time, there was a cat. By the way, when I was growing up in Bangalore at that time, cats were very rare. You could not find a cat on the road,
yeah,
right? So I think even the scenario now is changing, not yet changed, but so if a cat, crosses the road, they used to say that it's a superstition. Your day will go bad. This, that, whatnot. Uh,
if we are going in vehicle, we need to off it and we need
yeah,
to stay for few seconds and then start it and go again.
and go back. And if you, especially if it's a black cat, it's like a bad omen,
Uh,
right? All these things is something which we have always heard about, right? So, but things are changing. I can vouch for the fact that people are becoming more educated, and there is, of course, there will be certain lot of people. I don't think their mindset will change at all.
mm,
The rest, the population, the majority of the population is changing. Is they are catching up on the cat culture. Okay, for
mm,
example, in Bangalore, there is this specific cat rescue facility, which was very, very interesting to me to
mm,
uh, hear about, because all we hear is about dogs. All the movies made about is about dogs. Charlie is about dogs. Hachiko is about a dog. You find very handful of movies which is made on cats. Now, also they say that cats are not loyal. Uh, no, the amount of the way they show their love, the amount of love they show, it varies with every cat. But
mm,
they are like your emotional support for a long, long time. So dogs are creatures which seek for your love. They jump on you saying that, "Oh, give me love, give me love." Cats are something that I'm going to sit in my own place. If you want, you like me. Otherwise, you go and give me food. So they are like that. They are creatures where mind your own business, but I still like you.
yeah, awesome. So, what keeps you motivated every single day?
Um, so what keeps me motivated is first of all my workplace, because we have very challenging cases, right? So, you come back, you have to study about it. And once you work with people who are highly motivated, you also think about outgrowing yourself, to do better exams. And if you have good mentors who, say that, you are doing good, or, you have, this is your talent. These are something which mentally motivates you, that, these are the things which I can do in life. Apart from that, every day, so I am in Mumbai. So I've had a long struggle, to be where I am right now. So uh, once you're in that position, no, you being in the position itself is motivating to people sometimes. So it's just that you have to, just because you're there, you should never carry your ego on your brain, uh, but continue to do your work, so that, people who were just like me, and, who were never a topper in college, look at me at least and say that, there is a light ahead, not that I'm a failure, right? So this is what, sometimes I feel is motivating.
Amazing. So, what's your message to young students or animal lovers who want to follow your path?
My message is very clear, that veterinary is very exciting, right? Because you're treating a lot of animals. You can be a dog and cat expert, you can be an emergency and critical care specialist, you can be a feline medicine specialist, you can be a cardiologist in veterinary, you can be an anesthesiologist. The road ahead is exceptional in veterinary, and that is for dogs and cats. Now, there's a new world called exotic medicine as well as wildlife, right? Vantara, for example, has opened a wildlife facility where doctors are working, and
Yes.
this is so exciting because the doctors are literally working on the, most exotic animals in the world, right? And there is, like I told you, there are exotic specialists who are specifically working on exotic birds, rabbits, and, whatnot. So these are very, very exciting things about veterinary, right? So I would say never limit yourself, that, if you want to be a doctor, you want to save lives,
Mm,
there are 100 ways to do it. You don't have to be very hell-bent that, I am going to do only human medicine and save life. These are literally, children of God, right? They can't speak for themselves, and they also fall ill, and you are like a literal God, saving them. So this is my message, that veterinary is extremely exciting. It's just that, you have to follow. I am glad that certain people are looking up to it very seriously nowadays. So do not get disappointed that, uh, you did not get a medicine seat, hence I'm in veterinary. I didn't get a dental seat, hence I'm in veterinary. No, veterinary is very exciting. It's purely on you how you choose your path ahead, right? So this is the message. And second message is, do not lose your track and hope. If you're a teenager, especially, if you're working towards a certain goal, like I told you, manifest that I want it. But also saying, manifest does not mean you manifest and sit in the house simply. Work hard for it. You will get it. You will achieve it. And I'll be very honest, friends, all that will be there in your life. Sometimes they will be with you, sometimes they will not be with you. Enjoy your life, but make sure that, you always dedicate yourself, your, time to your goal. Set your time towards your goal. Do not get walked away saying that, oh, I have to spend time with my friends. Because just like how my parents told, just like I'm sure what your parents would have told, if you work hard for 20 years, your 40 years will be good. Of course, it's a myth from my personal experience. Even now, I'm still working hard, but it is somewhere the truth, right? If you work hard for 20 years, 40 years will be a little smoother. But in 20 years, if you lose your track here and there, and if you don't know how to come back to your track, it's very difficult. No one can help you.
mm, right. So now people will have this common myth saying that, I want to become veterinary doctor. After I become that, can I enjoy it? Can I enjoy my life too with this passion which I want to follow now? This applies to every situation, every goal. But let's look at this point.
Absolutely. I think, see, every human being, end of the day, even the medicine doctors, they enjoy a lot, right? So enjoyment is never a restriction. It's just that how you, make time for yourself is very important. right? So we have, specialists. I'm a person who's interested in emergency and critical care.
Hmm.
There are specialities like they are called diplomates, so they're abroad, right? So they literally enjoy life because they get money also for their expertise. Plus, they have ops, unlimited ops. They work for hours,
Okay.
right? So rest of the days they are pretty much free. They enjoy going for trekking. They go for vacations, right? So let's see. If I have to tell a parallel example, people who have got IIT, their fests are one of the best fests in India, if you know it, right? Same thing with the doctors. If you go to a fest of a human, medical college, like probably like a Bangalore Medical College
Hmm.
or our veterinary college in Bangalore, we have very good fests and people enjoy a lot, right? So we have many veterinary doctors, who go for trekking, like I love doing scuba diving. So um, if I have time, I usually, want to go to Murdeshwar again, and
Hmm.
there's Netrani, right? So enjoyment is just part of your life. I think you should always make your time to do it. Just because, you are there uh, and doing certain thing, I don't think enjoyment should stop you or following your passion, for example. So for one example I can give you is that there's this very good, heart specialist in Mumbai
Hmm.
who does very beautiful, wildlife photography, and he does conservation,
Okay.
right? So I think, in 1 month, 15 days, he's in Africa and he's a human doctor, right? You see how people are, allocating time towards their personal life also. So enjoyment is always there, but enjoyment should not be your only life. You have to achieve and then enjoy parallelly.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful commitment and wonderful time and spending your precious time with us today. So, when we come to the last part of the podcast, that is rapid questions, one word answer. So, let's go for it. Dogs or cats, if you had to choose?
Very tough question. I've had dogs in my home in Bangalore, but I'm in Mumbai. I'm with two cats, so cats.
A skill every vet should master.
Communication skill. Without communication skill, I don't think anyone can be a good vet or a doctor.
Your stress buster after a long shift.
My cats.
A quote or motto you live by.
This too shall pass.
What makes you smile no matter what?
Uh Crime thrillers. I come back and see crime thrillers, and I'm happy about it.
Night shift or morning shift?
I'm a morning person, so I prefer morning shift.
One word that describes you.
I'm straightforward and direct.
First thing you do after a tough emergency case.
Come back. I reflect on the case. Uh, Spend some time with my cats and relax. I forget about the day.
A book that changed your life.
Very book person per se, but I used to read a lot of books from Sudha Murthy. I don't even remember the names at this point, but those were the books I think initially which motivated me a lot.
Coffee or chai during long shifts.
Chai. I'm a chai person.
One animal you dream of treating someday.
I mean, I have treated wildlife. I've treated, almost all the animals. So I don't know at this point. Probably if dinosaurs, which is extent is coming back, I would dream about eating it.
Yeah. Would you want to also treat humans?
No,
No.
no, no. There are doctors for that, and
Great.
I
Amazing.
mean, there are beautiful doctors in human medicine. So
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here on my podcast and sharing your points, your views on this special, unique veterinary, right? So, what do you want to say, ma'am? How did you enjoy the time spending and sharing your thoughts?
um, thank you, Hrudai. I mean, thank you for giving me the time.
Okay.
Thank you for making my voice heard about veterinary because it's very important. Uh, like I told you in the beginning, it's just, people, half of them do not know what is veterinary, but, they have seen dogs and cats around them and they want to pursue something, in order to help them. Or, there is a career called veterinary and it's extremely exciting. It's just that you have to grab on it, right? Just like the human medicine, the veterinary medicine is just parallel. And along, in human medicine, you're just treating a human being, but in veterinary, you have many species to treat, right? So that again, it makes your life very, very, worthwhile. Uh, so for the kids, I say now is uh, veterinary is quite lucrative and a very, very, nice field. Do think about, choosing veterinary a lot. It can change your life and get pets to your house. Trust me, your life will change when pet is there in your life.
Yes,
The amount of positive energy aura you get from a pet, and them always being there in your emotional breakdown moments are something which is it cannot be matched ever, right?
absolutely. Yes, I agree with you. And I'll take this clip and I'll be showing this to my mother every single day till she buys me a dog. Yeah, so thank you
Initially,
so much, ma'am.
initially for few days it is going to be tough, but they will get
Yeah,
used to it. Something happened with my parents also. They were very, very, very against it, but they will get used to it.
yeah.
All the best
So
to them.
thank you,
And,
ma'am. Yeah.
thank you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, audience, for watching this podcast. So like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon because whenever we go live onto my next episode 28, you will get the notification from the YouTube. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, audience, for being here and watching this podcast.
Thank you.